Welcome back. This is episode 18. I want to show you what I've been doing on the batteries and how I've connected them and how they work in the car. Thanks for watching. I wanted to do a brief explanation of how I have the batteries set up in this car. Very basically, I have 26 LG Chem batteries. I'm running them parallel, and to do this I'll have two batteries and they're connected together, the negative end to the negative end of these two, and the positive end are connected at the other end. These will go to the negative of the next pair of batteries that are in parallel, and it'll just go on up to the other 13. This system is called a 2P91S, and what that means is you have two cells in parallel and 91 total in series. So as they go up, they're in series. To monitor these batteries, the BMS system, I'm using the lithium design system. Each one of the modules in the BMS can handle up to 24 cells. Which is a total of 96. I'm running 91 cells, so the last 5 in the last unit is not being used. Each one of these batteries is 25 volts, so this would be 25. The next set over here would be 50, and then it would go 75, 100, and then on up from there. Each one of these batteries is 1.6 kilowatts. Because I'm running them in parallel, that's 3.2 kilowatts combined. Times the 13, I'm going to end up with a 41.6 kilowatt system. I'm hoping that I get around 150 to 160 mile range. We'll just see what happens when we get the car completed and get some testing done. I've noticed online a lot of people ask, well, what's the weight and the weight distribution of the car before and after. The weights I had on this car before I took anything off of it was 2,067 pounds. 57% of that was in the front, 43% in the back. What you have to take note of, though, there was no spare tire, there was no fuel in the tank, and a little bit of the interior was not installed, like the carpet, for example. The seats and everything were there, but there was a few little miscellaneous things missing. So this might be a hair light. I removed the engine and transmission, the radiator, the fuel tank, bumpers, exhaust system, the rear axles and springs, and some other miscellaneous parts. So I basically removed, off of this 2067, I removed 760 pounds of weight off of this car. The weights of the electrical components, the batteries and everything that I'm putting back in, the front batteries, for example, are 342 pounds. I added another 20 pounds maybe for the steel that I used in the construction of the battery boxes. So I think we're right around 362 pounds. So that's considerably lighter in the front than it was before. The rear is going to be a little bit heavier because there's the rear batteries I'll be adding. So that's around 152 pounds. The motor is just under 200. These are all rough estimates, but 130 pounds for the axle assemblies and maybe 75 for the electrical components in the trunk. So I'm adding right over 900 pounds, probably 919 it says here. That's probably a little bit on the heavy side, but anyway, with those figures, I'm looking at when it's completed, it's going to be around 47 to 48% of the weight will be in the front, and around 52 to 53 in the rear. And the total weight of the car was still, I'm projecting it to be under 2,200 pounds when it's all completed. These are just estimates, rough, but I think they're fairly accurate. Really won't know until I get the car all completed and back on the ground, and go around and measure each corner and see where we're at. This is the pair of batteries, number 5, 6, and then 7. I wanted to get these all prepped and ready to go. I'd like to get this back in the car so I can get some weight on the front of the car so it's not all in the back. I still have the charger unit, which is pretty heavy, to put in the back, but I wanted to get some more weight in the front. I'm almost got this ready to go in. I still have to put together the connectors on the end of the main power cables that go into the car. I have the lower battery box all put together and ready to go in the car. I set the framework for the upper battery box that attaches to it. Just wanted to kind of check a few things. I have checked with the voltmeter. I've checked all the voltages on the BMS leads that go up to the BMS, because I wanted to check that before I got in the car, just to make sure everything was good to go. All the voltages on the BMS from the cells progress like they're supposed to. And they all have the same, almost the same exact voltage on each cell. I'm ready to mount the lower front battery box. I do have it connected to the engine hoist. I made this fixture so it's easy to, I'm hoping it's on a good balance point here, but I'll be able to lift this and swivel this and put this into the engine bay. I also drilled it out here. There's another set of holes. So when I set the upper battery box in, I can use these same eye bolts here to on the upper box when I mount that. I went ahead and just put the little battery mount, rubber mounts on here. I'll go ahead and lift this up and see if I can get it in there. That's all for now. I wanted to recheck the fit of the upper box to make sure it's fitting in there good, and it looks like it does. Yeah, looks really nice. I did find the I'm gonna have to move this water line here. It looks like it's getting pinched, so I think I'll move this T over to this area in here. I think that would be better to do it that way. This is the opening that's in the bottom of the upper box, so these power lead and the BMS lines will come up through here and plug in. So everything seems to be fitting real nice. Real happy with this. I've been working on some of the cabling underneath the car. This is the positive battery that's going to go back to the contactor box here when I get the upper box installed. I did reroute some of these lines up here. I had to put a splice in the water line here, move the T over to here, so there's plenty of clearance here now with the front battery box. This is the underside of the front battery box. It fit really nice. This shows some of the routing of the cabling that's going back up through the transmission tunnel. I think you can see some of it back there. Everything's attached back there. I still have a little bit more mounting to do on some of the cables, but everything seems to be laying in real nice. There's two mounts on the front of the lower battery box. There's one on this side, one on the other side, and then there's one on the back on the cross member that I put on here, the rear mount. These are actually just motor mounts off of a Triumph Spitfire. They're pretty compact and they work out really good. This is some more of the cabling. It's clamped up on the way back. This is some BMS wiring that feeds up through into the front battery box here. I still have to mount this up in the transmission tunnel up out of the way. And this is the rear suspension. This is the front upper battery box I've been working on. It's about 90% there. I still have a little bit of wiring left to do and detail things, but it's pretty much there. This is the gap that's between the batteries, so the BMS lines from the rear batteries will come up through here and feed into the BMS boxes. And then also the high voltage lead will feed here on battery 7, or excuse me, battery 8. Battery 7 will feed this. And then it'll go through these batteries to battery 13, and this is the high voltage out here, the 325 volts. This will be cabled over to the large fuse, and then there's a switch here, a cutoff switch. It'll be able to cut the voltage off going to the back of the car to the contactor box. This is the upper box. I have it ready to go back in. All the side panels and bottom panels are all on. This is for the heater element here. I put this strap on just to help level it once I start lifting. Most of the strength here is on these two lifting eyes. I'll put the top on later after it's in and I'm finished in here. I've been working on the front battery box. The lower one I had in, and I've installed the upper box on top of it, and it's all secure to it. All of the BMS wiring is all run up through there's a gap here in the center that goes down to the bottom. I ran the cables up through there. I still have to attach, this is the positive lead from the front lower case. It attaches here to the negative side of 8. I'll attach that later. These lines here are the cables for the heater element. This is the relay for the heater element and the fuse. And this is the large fuse here that goes to the output. The high voltage, 325 volts, will come out of this lead here. This is the positive 325. Goes over to the switch, then goes through the fuse, and then out. This is also the tap for the 325 volts for the heater element here. The BMS wiring is all in and run to the back. The front boxes, the lower and upper, have all been tested. All the voltages are correct. They're within like 1/10 of a volt of each other. They're all pretty much spot on. I'm not going to plug these in until I have the rear batteries in the rear box, which I'm starting to do now. So let's go back. I'll show you those. This is the rear box. This cable here will connect to the negative side in the contactor box. This is the positive lead that's going to go out and goes to the front lower box. So the batteries are all in series. There's going to be 4 pairs of batteries for a total of 8 here in the back. These are the BMS wires that will be plugged in. These will be plugged into the batteries once I get them all in and connected to each other. This is a negative lead that's going to connect to the negative side of the number 1 battery. This is the ground for the heater element that's running up front. The rest of the high voltage lines are all in. Pretty much ready to go. Anyway, that's where I'm at today. The rear batteries are in and everything's wired up on them. All the wires are running up to the front battery box, the BMS. That's all in. This looked kind of plain here on the front. You know, I have the bead rolling on here, but I had an MG emblem, so I put that on there. Just have something on there to dress this up a little bit. That's all for this episode. The batteries are all in and just have a little bit of detail wiring to do on them. I'm working on the car wiring now, trying to finish that off and get the dash wired in and all the switches hooked up. But I'll do more on that on the next episode. Thanks for watching.